Hold on. Just hold on.
The heart monitor flatlined at 2:17 a.m. By 3:05, the hospital cameras showed me walking into my husband's room. By sunrise, I was the only suspect in his murder. But the footage missed one thing: the shadow that walked out seconds before I walked in. Under the bright white lights of the Broward County Courthouse, I heard the word guilty before I felt my knees give out. The courtroom didn't gasp, it inhaled. Every face in the gallery turned toward me, curious, hungry, satisfied. Reporters leaned forward like they'd been waiting their whole careers for this moment. A small-town elementary school teacher poisoning her husband? That was headline gold. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just kept staring at the jury, searching for one flicker of doubt. There wasn't any, because the evidence had been perfect, too perfect. My name is Ava Monroe, and 3 months before that verdict, my husband died in a locked hospital room at St. Catherine's Medical Center. He was recovering from a minor car accident, a concussion, 2 broken ribs, nothing life-threatening. Until it was. At 2:17 a.m., the heart monitor flatlined. At 2:23 a.m., a nurse found him unresponsive. At 3:05 a.m., security footage showed me entering his room. At 2:19 a.m., toxicology would later reveal a lethal dose of potassium chloride in his IV, and I was the only one on camera near his room. The prosecution didn't need much more than that. The truth? I was there that night, but I wasn't alone, and I didn't kill him. Let me rewind. The accident had happened on a quiet Thursday. My husband, Daniel, swerved off County Road 14 and hit a guardrail. He claimed a deer ran out in front of him. The police report said there were no skid marks. When I visited him that first night, he wouldn't meet my eyes. "Someone's messing with me, Ava," he whispered. "What do you mean?" My brakes felt wrong. And before you say it, I know how that sounds. Paranoid, dramatic. Daniel owned a small financial consulting firm, nothing glamorous, but 2 weeks earlier, he'd mentioned a client threatening legal action over a misplaced investment. I'd brushed it off at the time. Now, I wish I hadn't. The night he died, I couldn't sleep. Something felt off. Around 2:45 a.m., I drove to the hospital. I didn't call ahead, I just needed to see him. Security cameras showed me walking down the hall at 3:05 a.m. What they didn't emphasize during trial was that someone exited the stairwell seconds before I turned the corner. A shadow in scrubs, face masked, head down. The footage was grainy, conveniently grainy. By the time I entered Daniel's room, the heart monitor was already screaming. He was gasping, eyes wide with terror. I ran to him, yelling for help. That's when nurses rushed in. That's when chaos swallowed everything. That's when someone decided I would be the villain. The potassium chloride wasn't stocked in patient rooms, it had to be signed out. Guess whose login credentials accessed the medication cabinet at 2:11 a.m.? Mine. Except I had never worked at that hospital. I was a teacher. The explanation? My temporary volunteer badge issued the previous week during a blood drive. Somehow, my ID had full medication access. A clerical error, they said. One that only benefited a murderer. By the time detectives dug into Daniel's business dealings, public opinion had hardened like cement. They discovered he'd taken out a $750,000 life insurance policy 6 months earlier. Guess who the beneficiary was? Me. Motive wrapped in a bow. They discovered heated emails between Daniel and one of his clients, a real estate developer named Victor Lang. He'd threatened to ruin him. But Victor had been in Chicago the night Daniel died. Flight records confirmed it. Clean, distant, untouchable. Unlike me. During trial, the prosecution painted a simple story: unhappy marriage, financial stress, greedy wife. They showed the jury hospital footage on a loop. There I was, entering the hallway like death in sensible shoes. They didn't show the stairwell shadow more than once, and when my lawyer pointed it out, the district attorney smiled. "Speculation," she said smoothly. The jury agreed. After the verdict, they took me to Bryer County Correctional Facility to await sentencing. I had 30 days before the judge decided how many decades of my life would disappear. In prison, time stretches like a rubber band, thin, fragile, ready to snap. That's where I met Elise. She was in for cyber fraud. Brilliant, restless mind, the kind of woman who could disassemble a system just by staring at it long enough. I told her about the shadow, about the stairwell, about the badge access. "You're thinking too small," she said one night, lowering her voice. "This isn't about framing you, it's about misdirection." What does that mean? It means someone needed Daniel dead, but needed the investigation focused on you. Elise filed a public records request from inside prison, something about hospital maintenance logs. She had a knack for finding loopholes. 2 weeks later, she grinned across the metal table in the visitation room. "Guess what malfunctioned the night your husband died?" I swallowed. "What?" "Camera 3B, the one covering the medication cabinet. The footage of someone accessing the potassium chloride? Missing. Corrupted file. And guess who signed off on the maintenance report the next morning? A hospital board member named Victor Lang. Turns out, Victor wasn't just a distant client, he was a silent investor in St. Catherine's. And Daniel had discovered something ugly: embezzlement disguised as development funds, money siphoned through shell companies. Daniel had threatened to expose him. Victor couldn't risk that, so he arranged the accident first. When Daniel survived, he needed a backup plan. Hospitals are full of access points, full of vulnerable systems, full of overworked staff. Victor didn't need to be physically present, he just needed someone who was. The nurse who found Daniel unresponsive? She'd transferred from one of Victor's properties 6 months earlier. The same nurse who testified that I was alone in the room. The same nurse who'd conveniently forgotten her badge in the medication area that night. Her name was Tessa Grant. And when federal investigators finally pulled her bank records under renewed scrutiny, they found a wire transfer. $200,000 from a shell corporation tied to Victor Lang. The appeal hearing was quieter than the trial. No spectacle, no packed gallery, just facts unraveling. Tessa broke first. She confessed to administering the potassium chloride after accessing the medication cabinet with my badge credentials she duplicated during the blood drive when volunteers' IDs were temporarily scanned into the system. Victor had promised her protection. He hadn't promised her loyalty. When federal investigators got involved, Victor's empire began to crack. Fraud, conspiracy, solicitation of murder. The judge overturned my conviction the same day Victor Lang was arrested at his penthouse in Chicago. The day I walked out of prison, the air felt foreign. Reporters were there again, but this time they didn't look satisfied. They looked uncomfortable. "Do you forgive them?" someone shouted. I thought about the jury, the nurses, the detectives who stopped looking once the story made sense. "I don't know," I said honestly. Daniel wasn't perfect. Our marriage had cracks, secrets, distance. But he didn't deserve to die for discovering the truth, and I didn't deserve to nearly disappear because it was easier to blame the wife. People still ask me how it felt to hear guilty, but that's the wrong question. The real question is this: how many other stories out there look perfect? How many villains are just convenient? Because I learned something in that courtroom under those white lights. Justice doesn't always fail loudly. Sometimes it almost succeeds quietly, and that's far more terrifying. Thanks for watching.